It's definitely done on purpose too.
Yeah.
Keep us in that, like, that machine, that cog.
Yes.
Yeah. I was just recognizing the patterns in front of me. You know, my parents, immigrants from Mexico, and first generation here, and I'm seeing how the deck is stacked against so many of us. Like, you do everything right, and it just doesn't make a difference, really. And so I started paying attention. I started asking questions. I started reading a lot, and it all just kind of clicked in my head of like, this is how it's made. This is how it's supposed to be, and it's just not correct. It's not fair to so many people. And so, yeah, it's been about a decade. And that's so wild that you say that, because that's something I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, a lot of people across Latin America who have that heritage, like, how do I start the process of reconnecting? And it's like, the first thing I'm going to tell you is it's alone in business, because people just, they're comfortable where they are. Even though it's not a good place to be, they don't want to change because it's just too painful. And so you're going to be on this journey alone to the majority of your time. And so that loneliness is something that you're used to. And so, yeah, it's exactly right. You lose a lot of people.
This codependent relationship where people, you know, if you're always giving, people are always going to rely on you and you're always going to be there. So it's hard to like get outside of that mindset, because I think everyone's chasing some kind of financial security.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's all balance, and it's always health, and it's always you and doing what you love and being of service of people.
Exactly. It's definitely done on purpose too.
Yeah.
Keep us in that, like, that machine, that cog.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Did you always know about what was going on and what's kind of keeping us from understanding who we really are?
yeah, so I not always. It really started probably about 10 years ago, where I was just recognizing the patterns in front of me. You know, my parents, immigrants from Mexico, and first generation here, and I'm seeing how the deck is stacked against so many of us. Like, you do everything right, and it just doesn't make a difference, really. And so I started paying attention. I started asking questions. I started reading a lot, and it all just kind of clicked in my head of like, this is how it's made. This is how it's supposed to be, and it's just not correct. It's not fair to so many people. And so, yeah, it's been about a decade-long journey now.
Older gentleman, he's like in his 70s. He's an amazing artist. I think he's a Yaqui.
Okay.
I met him there where I work right now. He's like a teacher. I don't, you know, kind of like, because I think where I work, they have a school that's only like pre-K to like 8th grade in the EA. And I kind of met him by accident. Like, I just had been there, I think 2023 I started. And I ended up working during the spring. They were on spring vacation, and he was the guide, and he took us to the Sur Buttes. And I thought we were just going to be outside of the Sur because he can't go in there. We got in there. I'm in there. And I always wanted to do the hike and march and everything, and there's only like 100 spots.
Something like that. It's so hard.
And he knows a lot of people in Sacramento, and a lot, maybe he might know some of the people you know. And he was just like a real elder. You know, these call people elders or complaining and whining, but he's a true somebody that I go, this is who I want to emulate and be like. And I could never imagine like everything that he knew about Toltecs, about just the history of, like he says, Native American stretch from Canada all the way to South America. Oh, and we're all Native Americans. You know how they separate us, that you're this, you're that, you're not Native, you know. And the more I talk to people that do know, that say they're Native Americans, they're like, yeah, we don't just have to be one, we have to come together.
Right.
And we really take our power back like that.
That's exactly it.
But the reason I bring him up is he's a Yaqui, and his art is just amazing. And he's like in his 70s, and everybody who like communicates with him is like, man, that guy's just a fountain of knowledge. Every time I talk to him, I'm like, Stan, you have to get on this show. And it's just, but I've been having issues with equipment and everything, and it's hard because like before I had heavy microphones, and it would take like an hour to set up and another hour to take down. So, I'm barely figuring things out to like simplify it so it could be anywhere.
Right, that makes total sense. Yeah. Yes, I aspire to be that level of wise.
Yeah. No, and it's just the people you surround yourself. It's like you said, cutting people out, and a lot of people don't see their patterns and their habits. And, people I think it's hard because once you start kind of understanding things,
Right.
you want to spread it with the people you love, but no one wants to be receptive or open-minded about it.
And that's so wild that you say that, because that's something I've had a lot of people ask me, a lot of people across Latin America who have that heritage, like, how do I start the process of reconnecting? And it's like, the first thing I'm going to tell you is it's alone in business, because people they're comfortable where they are. Even though it's not a good place to be, they don't want to change because it's just too painful. And so you're going to be on this journey alone to the majority of your time. And so that loneliness is something that you get used to. And so, yeah, it's exactly right. You lose a lot of people in the process.
So you know what? We started off right away. You didn't even get to introduce you. And just introduce yourself. Sure. And tell my audience a little bit about you, what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, so my name is Shawntay Arroyo. I am born and raised here in this area. I grew up in Live Oak. I went to school at Sacramento State, where I got my bachelor's in English literature. And that kind of opened the pathway for me to start looking into more things happening in SAC. A lot of people like to say there's not much happening there, but there's tons. And, my parents, they came here from Mexico, and that's a big part of my identity and it's a really big part of who I am. I'm first generation here, so there's a serious struggle in that, as many people know. But yeah, I've been involving myself more and more in social justice and just learning more about my own heritage, the heritage that was forgotten or not spoken about. And I've been doing a work to try to build community in a different way, making moves in a different way that doesn't come with all this toxicity and baggage. So that's been kind of like an individual journey thus far. But I'm slowly making moves to involving more people in that journey as well, and getting more involved with those already doing that work.
Some things that have you excited for 2025? Is there some plans you got going for 2025, or what has you excited for this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's so weird to say that about 2025, to say you're excited, but I'm honestly excited to see the growth of the class consciousness. I feel like, especially in the last year, as we have been more informed through different venues, through different avenues, and we've seen what's been happening across the world, like in Palestine, in South Sudan, Congo, Tigray, Myanmar, and even close to home in Puerto Rico, in Hawaii. We're seeing that, like, this is all interconnected, and that we have more in common with those people's struggle that they do with, the 1%, or, people who are running this country. And so I'm seeing a lot of people, especially young people, that are really making moves to try to understand more. And that's something I haven't really seen before. And so I'm excited to be more involved in local community. I'm excited to see what organizations are already planning and doing and being a part of that. I'm excited to be of service is kind of it.
So what are the kind of services, what organization do you work for?
So I work for Youth at Arts and Culture. It's a nonprofit arts organization that serves Yuba in Sutter County. And what we do is our main goal, I should say, is to provide access to the arts. Arts and culture is really political, in my opinion. And it's a big part of cultivating empathy for all of us. And so their organization has done a lot of amazing work in the area in terms of re-granting money to local artists. They do events and programs. I run the arts and education part of the organization. So I go out to the schools, I connect with teenagers, and I try to get them involved in the arts, try to get them to see that, there's something beautiful to be recognized of the work that you're doing in school or on your downtime. And so that's a big part of what we do is we want people to come out to stuff. We want people to recognize the importance and the value of arts. And that's a big part of my life too right now. It's a huge part. I spend a lot of time at work. I spend a lot of volunteer time there too. I'm not always getting paid, but it's all worth it because that organization is doing something in this area that is needed.
I think that's amazing what you said about not getting paid and how important it is for arts, right? Music, poetry, any kind of digital art, acrylic, painting, all of it is important because, you can get into like a flow state and start realizing like, that you have control over your thoughts and there's meditation.
Sure.
There's yoga, there's running, there's all, hiking out in nature. There's all different ways to get there. And sometimes we focus so much on making money that we get trapped in what Bob Marley says, a rat race.
Yeah.
And it's hard because as Mexicans, right? Oh, no es trabajador, o es medio huevón, o no le echa ganas. And they put all these things on us, which in reality, it's not, And I think we come from an ancient civilization that was so advanced. And who knows how many thousands of years who built those pyramids. I don't know if it was the Toltecs, the Olmecs. We really don't know. And just, they've been there for thousands of years, and they're part of Egypt, and there's pyramids almost everywhere. And I think we're finally discovering, what these ancient civilizations were capable of. And I don't know if you know anything about Atlantis or Lemuria.
Yeah, I've read plenty of that. Yeah.
What is your kind of observation or thoughts about these ancient civilizations?
I think they're all definitely interconnected. I think they knew a lot more than we know, especially about the universe. And for a long time, I feel like a lot of that knowledge was like called like boo-woo or esoteric or weird or supernatural. But especially in recent years, like I'm seeing more and more of a push of like we need to understand these things. And the interconnectedness part, a lot of these pyramids, don't they align with like certain stars, certain constellations? So it's like there's something going on where even though these people supposedly had no communication, they were doing the same thing. And so something that you said that
I mean, it's something I've dived real deep into, and I don't care what people think. I know on purpose things have been hidden and misunderstood on purpose, so we don't understand who we are, and I believe we're all special in our own unique way. We all have a special fingerprint. We're all part of this giant puzzle, and it's all about being open-minded and always wanting to learn and grow. And from what I know from my studies and my research is Lemuria was a giant continent that manifested a lot of things, and they were very much connected with nature. And I don't know if you know anything about like fifth dimension or all these.
I've heard a little bit about it.
So from what I've studied, supposedly there's 9 to 12 dimensions, even quantum physics. Do you know who Michio Kaku is?
Yes.
He talks about this, and he says that it's proven that at least 12 dimensions exist, and that we're in the third dimension, and that supposedly we all come from the fifth dimension, that supposedly that's heaven, that's our spirit body, and that we're multiple dimensional beings. But if we have fear, if we have anxiety, if we have trauma, which everyone has, right? Everyone has ancestral trauma. If we're able to cure ourselves and heal ourselves from ecstatic dance to plant medicines to meditation to fasting, autophagy fasting, which is 3 days of just water, right? That can cure cancer, can get rid of all these dead cells inside of it. There's just numerous ways to get there. And supposedly that's what we are. And all of it has been distorted on purpose. And supposedly Lemuria had this huge connection, and supposedly Atlantis, which was technologically more advanced, and then they were more spiritual.
Yeah.
That they destroyed them, and the reason Atlantis fell as well was because spiritually they weren't as advanced as they were. So that's kind of like we're going into now, right? Where you see AI, you see robots, transhumanism, it's all starting to come in, and that's kind of separating us from nature. We're not a part of nature. We're destroying everything, right? We don't understand the connection. We've lost our connection. We don't live in the rhythms with nature, like I don't know if the Toltec or the Mayans believe 13 months in March is the real New Year. Nah.
I have a calendar that's actually separate from the Gregorian calendar system, and it's wild how different it is.
Yeah, and the Gregorian calendar comes from the Romans to collect their taxes. I don't know if people know that or not, right?
Yeah.
And so all this is beginning to come back. I don't know if you know anything about the age of Aquarius that supposedly we're just coming into, that it's consciousness coming into humanity, right? That with the Mayans of 2012 prediction was the same thing. It wasn't the end of the world. It was the awakening of human consciousness, right?
Exactly. And that's very true. I think spirituality, not necessarily religion, because other people get those confused. Spirituality is something that is coming back. I'm seeing so many people return to that, return to nature, return to their ancestors' way, or at least get interested in it. And so it's exciting. That's the exciting part of what's coming next, I think. As scary as the next few years look in this country, I think there's excitement on that level.
And you know what? I think the tough part about this third dimension is, do you know what duality is?
Yes.
So, it's kind of what exists here, the yin and the yang is there's dark and light, and that's like there's balance here. So everything can't just be perfect. Unfortunately, there shouldn't be wars, but it's kind of, our Homo sapien, monkey, mammalian, fox, right? That, humanity seems to be in constant war, And I don't think it's part of us. I think we all have empathy, but it's easy to divide us. And then a lot of times, I believe we've lived many lives. A lot of times we come in here, sometimes just to learn by suffering. And then other times we're in here to reach enlightenment and help who we can help, and there's a balance to it. And it's way more complicated than I can say, but I think it gives me hope just seeing these miraculous things that are happening, people who are transcending their limits. I'll just give you an example. I think in December, there was this surfer from Santa Cruz who, I think he's 22. He rode the biggest wave. And I mean, those waves kill you, at Havricks. But it's just, to me, to see how amazing humans can, and the things that they can be a part of and create, So there's no limit what we can create and how we can help heal one another. From like Stan Badil saying the same thing, that he has these books of Native American dances that you can't look at the dancers in the eyes because it's so powerful what they're emitting, and they're healing the people that are just there watching, a dance. And, a lot of people don't believe that. And that's another downfall of humanity, is we create what we believe.
Exactly. That is so unbelievably true. And especially with dancing is such a sacred thing. It truly is the same. So I fully believe what you say, because, everyone has a dance. Everyone all over this world dances. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see us kind of return to that frame of thought and get more involved with it. I'm excited to see what it could lead to, because you're right. Humans are capable of amazing things. And I think we've seen too much of humans being capable of terrible things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we imitate, unfortunately, what's in our family, what happens to us, and I think it is hard, but I think once you give yourself space and you're able to kind of look and observe your patterns and see, like, okay, that person is unconscious, if something's wrong. If they cut you off, you have instances nonstop, right? And it's so easy to criticize people and judge people and say negative things. But if you can kind of have an open mind and be like, who knows what that person's for, and, to be soft and be empathetic. And I'll be honest, like I haven't been like when I worked here, I used to work sometimes, crazy hours, 60, 80 hours. And here I am like putting my blood, sweat, and tears to give a product to be one, and somebody kind of shits on you. And you just want to react, and I did, and I would react and then be like, why are you even coming here? Go somewhere else, and that was all wrong on my side, and I can see that now from not being here. But I think it's so easy to like have despair and be hopeless, and because we're all surviving, and we got to learn how to like slow down, take it easy, and just try to help one another and see how we can be of service.
Right. Stay away from the bitterness.
Yeah.
That's the worst bit.
So what are some things that you've done to kind of heal you, open your... Is it just from reading? Do you dance regularly? What are some of the practices that have helped you?
Yep.
Retreat?
That's a great question. I mean, the main thing I can say was creating an ancestral altar that I keep up around and that I maintain. That was a huge way for me, number one, to grieve in a way that I wasn't fully able to for some of the people in my life that I lost, but also to connect to those ancestors that I don't know because they've been lost to, colonization, generation trauma. Their names I don't even have anymore, but it's been my way of creating some kind of links, kind of connection. And that's been very, very healing for me. It's also been reading books by those who are Indigenous or who have gone through the key tribalized and trying to reconnect and reading their perspective, reading their information. That's been a huge part. Also, there's an author in particular that I will definitely commend. Her name is Erika Buenaflor, and she, I believe, was a master's student at the time I started reading her. I'm not sure if she is working on a PhD now, but she's of indigeneity, and she's doing a lot of work on spirituality part, upon like connecting that to modern day and how we can implement a lot of those things into our daily lives now. And she talks a lot about the lost pieces of your soul, like trauma can make you lose pieces of your soul, and you have to heal through various means like baños, heridas, and other aspects in order to get those pieces back. And so that's been a huge part of the tools that I've used to really understand myself, understand kind of my place. Because in this country, I think a lot of us, we feel very out of place. We feel like we're stuck between two places and neither place really wants us. And so it's coming to terms with that too, that trauma of like, where do I go or do I belong?
Did you ever like think, what would my life be like if I lived in Mexico?
All the time. I've been thinking that even more lately, and maybe it would have been worse in some ways, but it also makes me sad because I see videos sometimes of people living over there or people who go to visit. And I just think like I could be walking on that street right now, and how much more connected I would be, especially the family that I had there that I don't really have too much connection with because of the distance. And so that's, I think, one of the sadnesses that I'm dealing with right now.
I mean, I was born in Jalisco and I was brought over 2 months after being born. I was raised like in Watsonville, Santa Cruz area. And so, I worked in the fields there when I was young. And we actually came here because I had an uncle in Woodland who had a similar, and he convinced my dad to, open it up. And, it was kind of a culture shock here just because Luxembourg, everybody speaks there. Everywhere, right? Everywhere. And then you get here and, it's kind of, you don't know. Well, because, we didn't, now I see there is.
So, yeah, there's definitely...
It's a part of Hispanic. And I think the people who are here have grown and the families have grown. So you see it now more than before. And I know this whole area is trendy because I think people that were here before kind of moved out because, they sold or whatever. And you have different people from the Bay Area coming in. So what do you like anything about this area? Do you like Sacramento? Do you have a preference? Like, do you want to live here for the rest of your life, or?
Yeah, I want to live in Arctic California for the rest of my life. I thought is to move more towards Sacramento because there's so much happening there that I do want to be a part of. But I stay in this area really because I feel like before I leave, I need to make it a little bit better than what it was when I had looked here, you know? And so I've been doing some of that work, and I'm pretty happy with what I've accomplished so far. I definitely want to do a little bit more, but I always have connections to this area because of the people I know here, my family that's here. And I mean, the positives are that pocket, you know, there are a lot of people here, not just, you know, culturally, but also other populations who are also minorities, who are also oppressed. And we have found some sense of safety with each other here. And so, like, I think of like Garden Highway. Like, I know, like, that's where I can go and I can feel at ease and I don't feel any type of way. Like, I use some of these shops. And so there's always places, you know, and I do appreciate that about this area.
So you're asking me about NorCal Resist. How long have you been working with them or a part of them?
Yeah, so I've been kind of on the fringe a little bit more with them. I've been busy with some of the stuff I've been doing here recently. I've been a little bit more involved the last maybe 2 years. I've done some of their trainings online, and I've gone to various events that they put on. And it's an organization that is so necessary for us to have. And it's almost astonishing that they've existed here for as long as they have. I think they've been around a decade now. They've been around for a while. And it started with just a group of young people who had the knowledge and felt the need to do something. And so it's been so amazing to see it grow. They collaborate so much with organizations in Sacramento and in the Bay Area, and they've grown exponentially. Right now, they're focusing on doing workshops on ICE and, you know, what to do if you see them, how to help. And so I'm seeing so much of what they're doing, and like I'm excited to get more involved with them and to help as much as I can.
So for our Spanish-speaking immigrants who are dealing with everything that's beginning to go down right now, what are some laws that are in their favor that they should know? Because I know there's a lot of fear rolling around everywhere, and people have to understand that they don't have to open their doors, right? There has to be like a search warrant. There has to be certain things have to fall in place. Could you expand more on like what people can do to know more about their rights?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I would definitely say to do would be to go look at NorCal Resist's website. They already have resources open and available for anyone who's interested. And they actually have a training tomorrow night. And NorSBK, you just click on the Zoom link and you can learn more. But I mean, get in contact and just see what's available for you right now. If anything, get a phone number. They have resources. I know they have connections to various groups that will represent immigrants that need assistance. And they're very aware of what's happening. So I honestly, using them as a tool is the best I think for anyone to do right now who is questioning, like, what do I do?
Yeah, I was reading something earlier today. I don't know if it was Cal Matters, I think they sent a message or reached out to like every sheriff in every county to see if they were going to comply with state or federal law. And I know it's different everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
Because like what are sanctuary cities like Oakland, San Francisco, maybe Santa Cruz, I don't know.
We're all sure. Not either, but yeah.
And yeah, it's something I need to kind of be more up to date on, just because I've had people tell me, you know, put subtitles in Spanish, and my Spanish isn't the greatest, so I wish I had like a Spanish co-host you know, can kind of lead and I can just learn and look. I mean, it's okay. I'd say it's like a 6, but
Yeah, around there too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, some people would judge you in first I do, but you know, it doesn't matter to me if I can put information out there that helps one person, then That's the only thing that matters. Yes.
That's all that matters. And you have so much of the older generation, too, that can help with that translation. Yeah.
So did we cover what you said you have planned for this year, or you have the goals? And
I would say the only other thing I want to add, I most of my work in this area, besides my actual work, you give a set of arts, the other part of it is I'm involved also with Tri-Town University. That's an organization that serves the queer population here, as well as the family, friends, and allies that we have here. And that organization, most of the work they do is providing a safe space and resources. So we actually have a center right here in Marysville, right on D Street. Yeah, that's right. Right down from the Silver Dollar. And we host events. We have peer support groups, and we have resources from people in the area. And so for a lot of people, it's like the only place they feel comfortable. And so that's been a big part of my work the last few years. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be continuing with that.
So what are some of your kind of passions and kind of hobbies, things that, like, let's say you won $1 million. Well, you're kind of already working for free, so I assume you love what you're doing. You do.
I do.
But is there, I don't know, if you had a couple $1 million, would you start a farm? Would you a nonprofit? I don't know, something big there.
I mean, to be honest, if I won $1 million, I think the first thing I do would be to pay off my parents' mortgage and help them out first, because everything I have was because of them. And I'm very appreciative of that. I understand sacrifices. But with anything I had left over, I would probably would choose to write. I guess, honestly. Like, I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, I would choose to write. I don't know if it's like essays or like zines or a book. I don't know what it would be, but that's something that I need to get back to. I used to do it a lot more often, and I kind of lost it in the craziness of life, and I want to get back to doing it because I feel compelled more and more lately, and I feel like I'm getting these little signs, from the ancestors, the universe, or whatever you want to call it, of life. You're right. That's what you need to do right now.
So, kind of when you communicate with your ancestors, is it just a feeling? Do you have dreams? What is it? How do you get that connection? How do you feel you connect with your ancestors?
A lot of it is definitely feeling, but I also do dream of them pretty often. That's actually a big part of what Indigenous people I come from do. The Huichol or the Huiralica, they associate a lot of importance to dreams. There's a lot to be learned from dreams. So I do that quite a bit, especially if I try to like call in a little bit. So that tends to be like hanging on my altar and kind of talking to them daily, and just like asking them for advice or for guidance, and they usually come through. So that's typically how it goes.
And how long has this practice, has it just gotten stronger as you do it more consistently? And was it just reading about this, or was it just something intuitive that you kind of felt that came to you naturally?
So it's definitely something that's grown as I've done it. I probably had my altar up about 4 or 5 years then. And it was intuitive, definitely at the beginning. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was speaking. But I was just like, I don't know, this feels right. And it's so interesting because as I started reading more and researching, a lot of what I was doing was exactly the practices that would be the. And so it was like, I set up my altar not knowing what to do. And I was like, okay, I think they need food and they need water, and I'll just have candles. And it all kind of started coming together. And then I realized you'd need to have elements on your 4 elements on your altar too. And I already had that. I had that naturally. And so it's just like little things where I picked up, like I knew how to do already. It was already innate inside of me. So that's been really cool to see that too.
So is there any like small businesses, farmer markets, or anything that you kind of like in the Yuba Sutter area? Anything in particular that kind of draws you to, I don't know, people, businesses?
So that's a good one. Definitely, I would say, I love my coffee shops. The one that I've really been enjoying is the one actually right here in Marysville.
The Dutch Brothers?
No, it's not Dice. Oh gosh, it's right by the brick, but it's on the other side. There's that little bakery.
Oh, Mary.
Yeah. How you got?
Is it so when you, it's like a left right here, right on the corner next to like a butcher shop?
Yes, it's that way. Yes. So that one I've been going to. They have amazing baked goods. Their prices are amazing, especially for what it is right now. And then also there's a gaming shop on D Street called Clockwork Games. Nice little shop. They do like D&D there. They do Pokemon card games, Yu-Gi-Oh, all that stuff. That calls to the geek and geek. And so I love just like going in and looking around that area.
So now that you brought up, the geek in you side, this is great. Tell me more about it. So Dungeons and Dragons, just a Pokemon, anything else? Is that just your two lean go-to?
I mean, also anything on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, yeah.
I love me some Nintendo. But yeah, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh was a big part of my childhood, as was like Sailor Moon. I grew up with those. D&D is more of a recent thing that I started doing because there's so much creative writing at Gold. So I naturally just went towards it. But there's so many things, I feel like, especially, I was around great Tumblr. I don't know if you had a Tumblr.
No. I mean, I know about it. Was that like mid, like 2005?
Yeah, right around there. That was when it was super popular, and it was just like everything fandom. And so I lived on that website.
Yeah. No, I've always been like a Star Wars comic books growing up. And it's funny because like I feel every single one of us, we all have a superpower or a gift, and a lot of it is just who do you have around you believes in you or inspired to or believes in what you think. Well, I don't want to say like an echo chamber and just, everyone will believe the same thing, but just believe that there's magic and we're capable of so much more, and I think a lot of it is just reconnecting back to nature, and I'll be honest, like I've had years where, nature's everywhere, and I've had years where I haven't, but then I've had these like magical moments where I was able to be at the beach. And usually where I grew up in Watsonville, it's always overcast.
Yeah.
Aptos and Santa Cruz is always sunnier. And, I don't know if it was me or not, but I felt like I was able to move the fog with my fox. And it was only like in a certain area, and I had these magical moments with an ex-girlfriend where we telepathically talked to one another.
Yes.
And she didn't believe it. It was weird. Like, I just felt it. And there's just been moments like that where it sounds like craziness. But I think we all have these abilities that are on purposely being suppressed. And then if we can't really heal ourselves and work through all this stuff that everyone does, negativity, cynicism, competition, to have empathy, to have compassion, to have an open heart, there's just so many ways. I don't know if you know anything about like sound frequencies, about like, do you know what scalar waves are?
Yes. Your friend told me about these.
So what do you know that scale?
So what I know is, they're healing, aren't they? Healing waves of sound. A friend told me about that. Man, it must have been 7 or 8 years ago. And like, he showed me some of what he had found, and I researched a bit more. And I mean, it's wild. This is a real thing. Like, Jade has used it for healing, and
It's not talked about.
Yeah, no, and I think I'd have like came in the 50s or the 40s, and I was listening to these two gentlemen. I think one's a shaman, and one is like a spiritual teacher, and they were both talking about it. And I heard about this like in November of 2020. Great, never heard about it. I mean, I listen to certain frequencies to like elevate my energy and to kind of release negative energy, and I felt great listening to them. There's like 999, 111, There's all these different ones all do different things. And I think there's a place in Retro Cordova and a place that recently opened in Chico. And they dedicate to scalar waves. And a lot of it is like, we have the power to do ourselves, right? And it's all about belief first, because if the placebo effect, right? I don't know if you know who Dr. Till Dispenza is. He has a book called You Are the Placebo. And it's old. If I find it, I'll let you have it. But he shows all these studies of the placebo effect of pharmaceuticals using it, and how as long as you tell them that it's going to work, and it doesn't matter if it's sugar or whatever, it works, right? And it's the power of our minds. And so if we think negatively and we start dwelling on the past or what people have done on us, then it's hard to get out of that space, and it's so amazing what we're capable of. And I think we're early beginning to come back to that, right? There's, like you said, what was it, cleansing bath?
Yeah. Yes.
So I mean, there's just sobadas.
Huge.
Yeah.
Happy that.
Yeah, and a lot of people would say, oh, brujerías, and they're just trying to take your money, and it's all about the intention of the practitioner, right? I'm seeing more and more people online. Like, I didn't believe in Reiki. I didn't believe in a lot of this, like, channelers, and you're beginning to see this, or remote viewing, or astral projection.
Yeah.
Right?
Was a huge.
And a lot of people who even do it freak out because they're like, I'm seeing beings with robes, or I'm seeing this entity I have no idea what it is, right? So there's so much that's beginning to come to the surface, and all these truths are beginning to come out. And I'm a former Catholic, right? And I don't practice, and I don't follow it no more. But a lot of things are coming out on, like, Yeshua. Supposedly that's a me, and Mary Magdalene, but they were equals, right?
Yes, there were.
One wasn't more than the other. And I think there's a town in France that's dedicated to her. Like, there's,
I know about this. I read the Da Vinci Code in book club, and so I got real into it and read the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and I read about God's wife, Sophia, and the return of Sophia. I read a lot of that. And so, yeah, I'm former Catholic as well. So I got real into it.
Yeah, and it's funny how you say Sophia, right? I think there's a book called The Sophia Code by some gal, Kara something. I can't remember their whole name. And she was up in Shasta, like community, communicating with entities and just channeling this energy up in Shasta. She wrote up, on Sophia energy. And all these ascended female masters in China, in Australia, they're all covered up, so no one knows anything about it. And I don't know if you know anything about Kundalini energy.
I've heard of it. I don't know much.
So a lot of it supposedly from the base of our spine in the root chakra. It's male and feminine energy that comes up and opens up your crown chakra. And what is it? Drawing with the right side of our brain. Have you read that book?
I have.
Right, so it's our feminine energy, and the masculine energy is the left side. I don't know, but I don't know the details about the masculine energy, but that's kind of what's been in control now, right? But the feminine energy is the one that's more intuitive, that understands, that creates, they create life. So I think we're beginning to understand how it's both important, to have empathy, for men to cry, for men to be able to hold space for women, to feel safe, A lot of men don't understand that. A lot of men have security issues, the same thing as a woman, right? Of a woman leaving up for somebody else, So I think all these aspects of to be well balanced and to help elevate the divine fact, the Sophia codes. I mean, I don't know all the details about it. Something I'm still getting into, but I understand that that's what the age of Aquarius is all these feminine energies coming in and bringing back that power, that leadership that women have, that, just has been suppressed, has been, everything about there's almost no information out any yeah. And like Mayans and Olmecs and Toltecs all had the year. And I think this is a year where a lot of that have been discovered. And still people are going to say, no, it's not true. People are going to follow whatever they were.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that as well. The mind feminine into the divine masculine, and we can uptell in the same way. And how interesting that so many people are kind of getting on board of this, because I've seen so much more discussion, especially on platforms like TikTok, which sadly we lost to Meta, I think, at this point.
Well, you know what? I know that it's back today.
It's back, but it's definitely pushing an agenda.
Is it?
I've seen a lot of creators that are more on the left side that have gone banned, content that's been completely taken away, people getting strikes for things they wouldn't have got strikes for. And so a lot of people are like, yeah, we're not going back. And so, but when but prior to that, that platform was definitely used to spread information. I followed a person on there called Ash the Soul. She's one of the people whose accounts was deleted, and she was banned, actually, unfortunately. But she talked about, La Santa Muerte. She talked a lot about frequencies, the divine feminine, and she was a wealth of information. And there are so many people like that were talking about it in a way that hasn't been discussed publicly. Like, you can't do that on Instagram or Facebook. I think people are going to be able to see it, but on TikTok, we could actually see that information. And that spreading of information, I think, is really what brought the fear for TikTok. And so, we need to find other ways to spread information because that's what they're afraid of.
You know what? And that's a great thing that you just brought up, because you know anything about cryptocurrency or Web 3.0?
Yeah, cryptocurrency scares me.
Why is that?
It scares me a little bit just because it feels almost like a gimmick. It feels like a way to take advantage of people or keep people more poverty. And I don't know too much about it. I'll kind of stay away from it, but I have an immediate distrust for it.
So how long have you kind of known about it, or just kind of, is it just something new, or?
I've known about it for a while. One of my brother's really into it, and that's where a lot of his money goes, which is really, really scary for me.
Do you know what he invests in? Or no?
I don't have any details on that.
So for me, what really affected me was 2008, the crash. This business used to do really well prior, and then when that hit, sell over cut in half. And it's really hard for a small business, from workers' comp to insurances to PG&E bills to the credit card processing issue, right? They charge you a monthly fee, they charge you a percentage. What is it? Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So
they hold on to the money and talk. So there's just all these gimmicks. So when I first heard about Bitcoin, I didn't believe it there, right? I was like, this can't be real. And then slowly I started, you know what? There's nobody in the middle who's controlling all this, right? And Bitcoin is the first one, but now there's all kinds of different ones. There's, what's it called? Theta, I believe it's called Theta, and it's something similar to YouTube or a social media platform. And let's say Theta costs, I don't know, 0.00 something, less than a Fetty, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you buy $20 or $30 to be able to use Theta, and then all the creators on there, instead of likes and comments, you directly get crypto with nobody in the middle getting in there, right? So that's kind of one of the things I don't like about YouTube is They make all these advertising money. And anytime somebody's creating something that really helps, is a service of humanity, these pharmaceuticals or whoever is paying a lot of money forever, they're going to go in, shut down whoever that person is, right? Or shadow ban them, like you said.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel cryptocurrency is a frequency that liberates us, because as long as you know your keys, that money is physically yours. I don't know if you understand how the banking system works, or like the federal bank.
Yeah.
Like, so supposedly the instant you deposit money in there, they start using it.
Yep.
You know, they're investing it, they're lending it, right? So let's say you have $100,000, you put it in, and then you go back a couple days. Hey, I need to take out so much. What do they tell you? Oh, we don't have anybody here, man. But of course, they just deposit these, right? So there's a lot of gimmicks, you know, and that's why I'm very, very pro crypto, because there's so many, you know, and you just gotta follow some simple steps, from an encrypted email to a crazy password, where even right now, you buy from centralized exchanges, meaning somebody owns that exchange, and the government does this thing called KYC, know your customer. Why? Why do they have to know that you can have crypto? You know? And the whole reason is so they can tax them, you know? And like, I can't remember if it was 2022 or 2023, there's all these like crypto millionaires who bought under the $1,000, and they didn't know, you know, so they start making their own cryptocurrencies of their own kind of decentralized platforms. And they were like chilled, and a lot of them live like in Puerto Rico because there's no taxes there, and Florida, and a lot of them were just kind of disappearing. And to me, it was like, well, what's going on? You know, why are these people specifically targeted? And if you notice, like, no one really talks about it until Bitcoin goes down or goes up, right? It's so volatile, right? That's what they say, right? That it's so volatile. But there's all these like other ones. There's like XRP. There's XLM. I forget which other ones, which already are going to get implemented by these banks. And the instant these banks start using them, there's going to be little to no transaction fees, and you're not even going to need a bank. But all you need is people that, or let's say Twitter or X starts like a new PayPal, right?
Yeah.
And people start using. And let's say you're teaching classes online, and there's nobody in the middle, and there's none of these fees. And, you know, I think the biggest thing I hate about taxes is you don't get to control or decide, right? So if you could have control over it and be like, yeah, I'm going to pay my taxes, but they're going to this nonprofit or NorCal Resist or whoever you want, you know? I know roads need to be built, but show me that those are being built, right? Because like Newsom was saying in this budget that a bunch of money was lost. There's so many billions of dollars to the homeless, but none of it really gets used, right? And it's just like, that's kind of another thing with like crypto wallets, is you can see, you don't know who it's going to, right? But you can see where it's going and who's folding it. So if all these wallets were transparent to everyone, okay, this is a homeless, this much money went to this. Okay, now where's the rest of that? You know, so we can kind of press them, like, because they're supposed to be working for us, supposedly. But they're working for themselves, right? And like, I've had people ask me, show me how to buy crypto, and I probably have to do a how to, you know, because it's so important, and it's just like $100, you know, and just hold on to it and just wait, you know, because and that's kind of what happened is what was it, 2009, 2010? People have $100 of Bitcoin, and then it went to $20,000. From 60, they became multi-million. And a lot of them don't disclose who they are because they know, you know, I had too much power now, and now it'll be competition with, who knows? I don't think the government, I think there's shadow entities in every country and every government suppressing information, controlling 100% social media. Like, I don't know if you saw Mark Zuckerberg talking about the FBI coming on board, telling him what to do, right? And it's just like, you could have said no, and maybe you would have suffered, but you could have created something that people could have trusted and said, you had a third party come in and do everything that supposedly freedom of speech, right? And so, I feel, yes, there's bad things, there's good things, suppress you. There's always going to be information that's going to be suppressed, but there's always going to be people like you who are out helping and causing change. And I think these conversations are so important because, sometimes you don't have people to talk to or who to believe, and I have no incentive of hating any. I just want people to be independent and believe in themselves. Like, listen to enough stories of different people doing what they love, taking time and then cheating it and being like, you know what? I can do that. I don't. Yeah, maybe some of us have to have jobs and do certain things, but I think if you surround, and that's kind of what YouTube or podcasts do, is you're able to listen and interact with people who are planting seeds in you, or maybe you already believed it, but now we go, okay, I heard this, I'm going to do some research. Or where are people coming together, or how can I be of service, right? And that's my kind of goal with this. And I just want to build a network of like-minded people that, they can help one another and see, how can I be of service or your organization.
That's so important because, like, in recent years, and in so much talk about a revolution, but what people don't understand is 80% of a revolution is boring. 80% of a revolution is community building. It's demonstrating, it's organizing, it's mutual aid. And it's like, you need to have these conversations. Like what you're saying, this is part of it. You need to talk to each other. You need to know who you are. We need to find like-minded people. And so it's like stepping stones to building that revolution that we want to have. But like, we gotta build the foundation for it first. And so, yeah, I agree. I think these kinds of conversations and sending out information, it's so necessary, especially right now.
I've always been into farming or gardening, but I kind of took a backseat to it just because I thought I had to be a millionaire and I had to go to take all these permaculture classes. And it isn't, it's real soil alike, word casings, leaf collection. It's not that hard, and that's a revolution in itself, to feed people, because what do you get from like one little tomato or even thousands of seeds? You're always going to get more and more. And let's say you feed yourself and your family. Guess what? Now you have more to give to homeless or whoever, but everyone thinks you have to have all this plot of land to grow, and that's a big step in revolution. And also, I think we are in like a World War III, but it's a mental war. Yes, it's a mental war. And the more we're able to wake up, have empathy, have patience, and it's a war in turn, and if we can win that battle, then we can be of service. So, want to know it.
Exactly. Yeah, it is so funny you say that. I've heard so many people say you are in World War III right now, but it's in spiritual.
It is. So it's internal, and unfortunately, if you're working so much, if you're stressed so much, if you're surrounded by people who say bullshit or try to pull you down or say, that's not possible, we need to kind of cut those sparks, create those boundaries. And I think it's really hard. Like, I have the same issue. But you know what? One person, another person, even if it's 2 or 3 people, and we're talking about aliens and Atlantis and frequencies and healing and just laughing and not taking everything so serious, then we're being the change we want to see in the world.
I agree, 100%. It's that community. I always tell people you don't have to agree 100% on everything. But if you guys have a similar understanding on how we need to move forward, that's That's what you need right there. We don't have to agree 100%. And I've had to unlearn that myself, you know, like, it's okay when you don't agree completely. Let's show we agree on these other things that matter even more.
So do you have any like closing words or anything that you would like to like put out there that is important for you, something that you want to say?
I would definitely say my closing words really are just get involved. Like, go and see what's already being done, see what you're interested in, show up to things. Like, I always tell people, like, if no one's showing up to events or no one's showing up to programs that we're doing, then we're doing it for a reason. So just coming and attending something, even something fun, you know what I mean? It makes all the difference in the world, and it helps get you connected, and it helps build your community, you know? You need to know who your people are and who you can depend upon. And so go out there and just get involved. Get involved with as many people as you can and talk to people, build those relationships. Definitely.
And you know what? I think COVID has caused a lot of insecurities, you know, hermit mentalities of like not wanting to leave your house, you know, and I understand that, but
Sure.
just like you're saying, get involved and do whatever to support your small business, your local organizations, your artists, your farmer markets.
It's your neighbors.
Yes,
Know their names. Like, we don't know our neighbors anymore.
that's true. That's 100% true.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being my first guest in 2025. I'll be honest, I've failed a couple times on reportings, and not recent. It's just, I think it's hard when you do too much, you know, and sometimes you just gotta kind of slow down and make things easy. And I really knew nothing about you. I don't know why, but it's always weird though when like something happens where something's like kind of drawing us together. And I don't know what you were thinking on the way over here, because we didn't really.
I was
and out in here like I'm gonna do it, you know. And I had like 3 interviews planned today, but I had issues with my equipment, and I ended up booking 3 people tomorrow the same day. It's
sorry. You're gonna do great.
no, thank you. Thank you. But this platform is always available for you if forever reason you want to talk, you know. I think I might have a place over on Lego Boulevard. And, yeah, anytime, you know, you want to talk and there's anything you want to share, this platform is a...
I'm happy to do that. I will definitely be hanging over at some point.
All right. Awesome. Thanks for watching, and thank you again for the